Good morning, Laguna Woods. Good to see you again. Thank you for tuning in. Inspiration for today. Have a special guest by the name of Rob McGee, and I said, Rob, you're casually dressed today.
That's right.
He's
Casually
kind of
dressed.
on vacation. He lives in Berlin,
I'm celebrating living in California for a couple of weeks.
and can you stand up and show the
Here.
back of your shirt?
I'm representing
aim straight to the camera.
Berlin and the international campuses.
So the fact is, there's two factors that come into play with Rob. One, he is the newest pastor hired by Saddleback, and your assignment is in.
That's right. I'm the connections pastor, living in Berlin, and basically means that I handle our small groups, and I'm doing class 101 through 401.
Yeah.
So
he is an associate pastor with Saddleback. So on his shirt, that's why he wore this shirt, to show the various locations that Saddleback has churches. So our verse for the day, let me read you this, because this is a great verse for all of us. In the book of Acts in chapter 1, Jesus, the risen Jesus, says to his disciples, of which we are the descendants of those, he says, but you will receive the Holy Spirit, and then you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. And Saddleback and Rick Warren, as our leader, took that very seriously. And so Saddleback, initially, our way to go to all the ends of the earth is we sent mission teams. And literally, Saddleback, as far as we know and believe, is the first church to have sent someone to every country of the world, which was close to 200. I don't know. But then we also wanted to impact the ends of the earth, so we started some overseas campuses in order to reach the area around each of those campuses. And those are now in Hong Kong, Berlin, Buenos Aires, and Manila.
yeah, or Santa Rosa. I think
Yeah.
they changed that.
So, Rob, you were already a pastor in Germany, were you not?
Yeah.
Tell us about.
So my wife and my whole family, we received a call to go to Bonn, Germany, and serve at a church there. And we look at that as we had a 2-year contract, and this was kind of the warm-up years to serving in Germany because, of course, California and Germany, totally different cultures, different places to live, not just the weather, but the people in Germany, we found to be very friendly. And there's stereotypes on both sides, but I was serving as an associate pastor there in Bonn, Germany.
Bonn was the former capital.
It was of West Germany.
And then when Germany reunified, they moved the capital to
Yeah,
Berlin.
it won narrowly.
So you were the first capital, and then
it's kind of fascinating. And Bonn gets a lot of flack for being this kind of village town compared to Berlin now.
Yeah, well, it's smaller population.
It's smaller, but they still have their ambassador buildings from where the different embassies and different UN meetings would go there. And the church that I served there was also I would say it's pretty similar to Saddleback Berlin in that it's a all-nation congregation.
Lots of
There's over 30 nations.
Let's start moving into what the church that Saddleback has in Berlin. Tell us a little bit that, like, how did it get started, or how old is it?
We celebrated our 6-year anniversary.
6 years.
So
okay,
this
that's
was
good.
Huge. So we
good.
actually sang happy birthday in English and German at church. I found out I was here, of course. I missed it a little bit, but we sang that, and then we're going to have Rick Warren visit the church. And
in Berlin.
Yeah, it's going to be a large theater that we're renting out, and 800 people. If we can have 800 people coming to hear the gospel message in the middle of what I would believe to be one of the most atheistic cities in the world.
That's really interesting that you say that, because I think that alone is a misconception that many of our viewers might have, that well, Europe is so Christian. It's not. It's post-Christian, really. Isn't
Yeah.
that? That's how I view it.
Yeah.
And so when we start a church in Berlin or in Germany, that's big because
Mm.
Christianity is not the general belief of the people any longer.
Yeah. I would say that it's the new missionary graveyard.
It's
And where missions used to be very popular in other parts of the world that were physically dangerous.
yeah.
There were many illnesses and different things, and going to Africa and parts of the Pacific Rim, those were called that was called the missionary graveyard. But
Huh.
now people say Europe is the new missionary graveyard because people go there to plant and then to reap hopefully a harvest for Christ, to see people won to Christ, and a lot of people in Europe don't want anything to do
It's
with
a
it.
very tough place because, and it's secularism really,
It's a
and
humanistic mindset
humanist.
too.
Yeah, and so that's why. So Saddleback Berlin has how many members? Or tenders, let's say.
Yeah, I'd say that we average around 300 people on the weekends, and then we have a 10 o'clock and a 12 o'clock service.
300 people sounds like a small church.
It does.
But the reality is in Europe, that is not a small church.
Yeah, and when you also look at it in a city like Berlin, that is such a stronghold of skeptical sort of worldviews towards religion and Christianity, and then only existing for 6 years. I mean, we've had
So
this
that's
growth
what I'm saying is
yeah,
I'm praising
I
God
think it's tremendous.
that the work has gone this far this fast.
Yeah, really.
So
And our pastor is David Schnitter. Him and his family kind of started this church out of their living room.
oh,
In many ways, it has a lot of similarities to the things that you learn about the history of Saddleback.
this
As far as
with Rick and Kay Warren starting it in their living
yeah,
room.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that was I didn't know that even when I was hired there. I found this late. I went to class 101 to kind
Yeah,
of
right.
learn
Right.
more about it and stuff. And I think that's tremendous, the amount of sacrifice and commitment that this whole family has made.
So Dave, they start at now you have a lot of the ministries there, but what do you see, Rob, as maybe we've talked about the challenge with just the culture, but what do you see as the challenges of doing a Protestant evangelical church
Hmm.
in a city like Berlin?
I
By
think,
the way,
yeah,
while you're thinking of that, I'm just curious, how many various nationalities? You were telling me about it. It's
it has to be over 40 or 50 nationalities represented.
because Berlin is such an international city, and the people come,
Yeah,
and it's the church is in English.
it's in English. We do German subtext
Oh, you do?
for
Okay.
the worship music, but we
Oh,
also have uh, little headphones that you can wear that has the translation, so you can watch Rick Warren or Tom Holiday and then hear the
yeah.
German version of it,
So
which is
the
which is
sermon, if you're German, you can still understand it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
You can go there, and so that's one of the reasons I think that we, as an evangelical Protestant church, is pretty successful, is that we consider the heart language of the German people.
oh yes.
So
So Rob, we're almost out of time for today, but is there is there any one thing, major prayer or challenge we can pray for? Is it just
yeah,
the
I I think praying for this church to be an oasis of belonging
mm,
for the nations, because and not just the German people, but for the nations that are gathered there for schooling, for government work, for different expat services. They are sometimes here and then gone, and
wow.
they go back to their place or their country of origin. We want them
Yeah.
to take the gospel with. We want them to
Well, I
bring the
want to
message
talk
with them.
more about that tomorrow. We're out of time. See you tomorrow, Laguna Woods.